Hello, welcome back to Evil Genius Props. My name is Mike, and I'm your Evil Genius for today. What we're doing today is talking about something that's kind of a touchy issue, is particularly if you're doing props for schools. The show we're doing this year uh, has a rifle called out for in the script. Now, I could do what most schools I've seen do, which is basically use one of the little uh, musket cap guns that are toys and look exactly like a toy, but probably would keep things safe. But that's not how I wanted to go this time. So what I have instead is I got this made by Denix. It's actually the same company that made the prop uh, dueling pistols from Hamilton. So it is basically a professional level theater prop, complete with activating parts here. But the issue with this is that while it is not real, it looks dead on from a distance. And if I was doing this for a community theater or a professional theater, that wouldn't be a problem. But this is going to be at a school with high school kids. And unfortunately, in the America we live in, that's a problem and at best could get the school shut down, like locked down. At worst, it gets someone killed. So this is something that we're going to use, but we're going to be very careful with how we use it and more importantly, how we store it. One of the things that we don't want is someone getting into the prop room and playing around with it, and the school gets locked down. The police are called, and maybe a trigger happy state police uh, decides they want to take a shot. So we don't want that. So part of what we're going to do today is make a case for this so that I can put it in a case, put a lock on it, and have it out of the way. Uh, this particular prop is only going to come out at the very end. So the dress rehearsals and the performances and the way this is going to be handled is someone from the prop crew will take it out of the case backstage, hand it to the actor to take it on stage. As soon as it comes off, it goes back into that prop crew member's hand, back into the case. There's never a point where this is just sort of out and about for free and someone can just pick it up and play with it. Because it's high school kids and they can be very mature in some ways, but they're still kids. So there's a distinct possibility of one of them deciding they want to play with it. So we need to keep that from happening and we need to keep everybody safe. So what we're going to do is I'm going to channel my best Adam Savage and build a case for it and then be able to put a lock on it so that when it's not in use, it's locked up, it's covered up, and nobody's going to know what it is unless they know precisely where it's stored. So, that in mind, let's go ahead and get started.
So first thing I want to do with this is lay it out on, in this case, a piece of half-inch plywood and figure out just how big I need to make it. So I think I could just leave it at 4 feet long. I could probably angle it, but I could also just leave it straight. If I leave a little bit of room on the edges, so I could probably make it, if I just split this in half, make it be 12 inches. It gives me lots of room around the edges. And well, if I do that, I would need another piece to do the sides. So I could, if I angle it in the box, I could get these sides at 8 inches. It won't need to be very tall. Then I could just cut the other strips to 1.5 inches. So 2, 8, 3, 1.5. Do, 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 do. So, all right. Yeah, we'll do 8 inches, 8 inches, 1.5, and then I can cut down the 1.5s for the short sides as well. Just leave it at that 4-foot length. All right, so go ahead and cut these. I actually made these 2 inches. And got 2. This will be the outside. Got these sides. And so put the side pieces on. And we will attach this on top to make a box. Hopefully it won't fall apart quite like that. Glue and pin this down, and then we'll cut this in half. Back on the table saw. All right, so let's go ahead and work on gluing this down. All right, so I'm going to glue that down and then pin these. Basically just using the pin here almost like clamps for the glue. So the glue is going to do the actual work holding. That'll just let me sort of keep working on this while the glue dries. But I could get some part of this onto the screen for you. All right, so I've got that part built. And that fits in there just nicely. So then what I'll do is top on. Probably take the rifle out first before I put this on. I'll put this on and then just cut the box. All right, so I've made a box. So next step, I'm just going to put it back on the table saw and split right down the side here. So there'll be a part that it can sort of rest in. And then we'll have a top. So I'll probably actually offset it. Let's see. So I could make it like 2 inches so that there is a distinctly, it sits within this part. And this is the lid. That might help sort of ease things up. So thing to consider, something to consider is that there is going to be an 1/8 of an inch cut out from the blade. So if I put it like here, maybe at 1 3/4, and that cuts to there. So yeah, I think we'll do 1 3/4 inches.
So I don't want to just leave this open edge hanging like this. So I'm going to put something in here to help hold this open as I make the other cuts. So by putting these shims in here, we're going to keep that from squeezing closed and pinching on the blade while I do the other cuts. So here's what I'm going to do. That cut just does not feel safe. As they up in the air like that, as it's going to come apart. So I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna just call that one too risky for how I've got this set up. I'll cut that part by hand. All I need to do is cut just a little section right through here, and then maybe trim it up on the table saw where I can get a nice clean edge on the side. But just take that out by hand or something. All right, so we've got our box, it's cut. We need to put in some hinges and some latches. But that's it. I got these guys for latches for a very specific reason. This loop right here lets me put a lock on this. So this way I can put this on here and I can put a lock on it so kids can't get into it without unauthorized access basically. And even just for shows, I'll probably do a zip tie for the same reason, but to make it a little bit easier for our student prop crew to get in there. So for putting on hinges, if I was making a fancy piece of furniture, I guess, I don't know, like a jewelry box or something, I might miter these, cut these in, just to make sure that everything sits nicely. I don't think I'm going to bother with this. I think I might just surface mount them, and then whatever sort of gap is there is there. Okay, so I know I said I wasn't going to cut these out, but I think they'll sit better if I do. So I just went, in this case, because it's plywood instead of hardwood, and sort of did some cuts with the saw. We'll just sort of pop those guys out. Kind of like that, to be able to sit the hinge in that. And I'm just going to cut it on the bottom all the way down instead of cutting it halfway on this and then halfway on the top. I mean, I don't really need to make this to be super pretty or anything. This is just to make sure somebody doesn't get into the gun when they shouldn't be. Slant this just to hold it closed. Not tight, just enough to hold it. And that'll let me be able to put these guys in. Nice little box. Now, I could call that good, and it would rattle around, but I'm going to put a little bit of stuff in there to keep it steady. This will help keep it so that the gun doesn't get damaged flopping around too much. Okay, so here's where we want it. So I'm going to put... Now, I could go and make a whole big thing about cutting out exactly this out of foam. But I think what I'm going to do is take some of this leftover foam that I have and just put like a couple of strips. Some over here and then some over here. Just to hold it in place rather than coat the entire inside of this. All I need to do is just keep it still. And then I can just glue this down. I'm also going to make like a little bit of a box over here because this came with some fake bullets to go with it, so we'll put those in there so they go in the case. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just make a quick little cut to make like a little box just to hold these guys. And it doesn't need to be very big. So I'm just going to sort of mark it out and then cut it out on the bandsaw. So and then what I'm going to do is sort of cut these down as well so they're not sitting so proud. All right. Yeah, see, that just doesn't quite fit properly. Okay, so we've got that in place, and we're just going to cut up some of these pieces of foam to slide in there to keep things from moving around too much. Maybe put some on the ends as well, just to keep things from banging around a lot. So yeah, actually this fits really nicely, just like this. So if I could just glue these guys down, I still think I might put something right here just to be safe. Though it doesn't move. Cool. Let's see what type of glue I can use on this. So I think we're going to use some Gorilla Glue. That works on most things. All right, I'm going to call that good. It does what I needed to do. I think one of the bullets just fell out though. Yep. All right, so maybe I'll put something to go right up there. I bet what I could even do is take these cutoffs and just put them. So if I just put these guys there, I think then when I close this, it would sort of make like a little top. Or I'll do something similar. But for the most part, I'm going to call it good. Actually, I could probably just do one. I cut this shorter. Yeah, we'll cut those shorter and then put them right there. All right. I've got that little block in there just to help hold things closed. And I'm going to call it good. This is just infrastructure. It's not going to be on stage at any point. It's just to put it in our prop room and keep it out of minds and out of people's way. So just need to let all the glue dry. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, let us know in the comments. Thanks.